that you must have already read the rules, not just once, but several times. What you will see here, it's what's in the rules, okay? What I will add on to it is my experience. So I want to share that so that it will enrich you and you are prepared when you go to the field of play, when you are a part of a judge commission. So it's practical stuff as well, okay? So we are going to talk about equipment inspection and uniform. Hopefully I don't put you to sleep. I hope I keep you awake because Junji, who is going to speak next, has a very nice presentation. He showed it to me earlier and I want to hear and listen. It's very good, okay? Okay, so clearly the rules are all in Book 3. That is our favorite rule book, Book 3. The other books are important, but Book 3 for target archery is the most important. This book is like your Bible. You have to know it in and out. You don't have to memorize all the rules, but you have to know where to find the rule. So you can always refer to it and check. Okay? Now, so I said Book 3, and it's always the athlete's responsibility to use equipment which complies with the rules. We are there to check that they do that. Hossein was saying, for me, two very important concepts. One is fairness, and that very much has to do with advantage. The next one is the intent of the rule. This is when you look at a rule and, you know, we are not policemen. We do not apply the rule literally in every case, but you have to understand what is the reason for the rule, especially if there are new rules and you don't know why they're there, and most of all, you don't agree with them. It doesn't matter whether you agree or not. The rule is the rule. But for you to better understand the rule, get to know the intent of the rule. Just as an example, like in para archery, the assistant, there is now no more coach behind the coach's line if there is an assistant. I will go into para archery more detail later on. But in Feb, the Asia Para Cup, I was not a chairman, I was not a judge. Believe it or not, I was jury. It is the most exciting job, which I am not used to, because you just sit and wait for an appeal. And if the judge commission is a good commission, then there will be no appeal, then you didn't do anything. You just relax like Hossein now, like that. But the problem is you have to stay on the field. You can't go shopping or go out or sightseeing. You have to be there. One of the most relaxing jobs in archery. But you must know your rules as well. So the chairman there was not agreeing with that rule. For me, that was a new rule as well. She asked me, can there be a coach behind the shooting line if the assistant is already there? And because I know the intent of the change, because you can't stop. How can you do, like, check 24/7, the whole match, if the assistant is talking to the archer? Would you know? They could have a code. Maybe it's just oral code. You never know. The assistant could be coaching. So that rule is unenforceable, 100%. And so, knowing that, then if there is an assistant who can already speak, then it would be an advantage if he also had a coach back there. And the other archers have just the coach. And, you know, so that would be unfair. So, as I was saying, the commission chair was not agreeing. And I said, but that is my interpretation, the rule, because I know the intent. And of course, we have a lifeline, a helpline, Indranil. If you remember, I messaged you, I want to check, this, like that. And he said, yeah, no coach, only assistant. And I said, okay, we agree. And so I explained to the chair, and that's the magic word. When you say Indranil, that's the finish, no more discussion. Okay? So that is why I'm saying intent of the rule and advantage. Those are two key words that you need to know. Of course, the rules as well. Going back, I'm sorry. But these are things that you don't find in the rule book. Okay? So, if in doubt, when an archer shows the equipment to you and you don't know what it is, first of all, ask. Ask the archer, what is the use? What is this for? Okay? And try to take photos, because that's for the meeting. If you don't understand, call your chairman or the deputy and they can check. But it's always good to ask the question. Always good to ask the question. That's what we're there for each other. Okay? And I'm so happy because with Indranil, he answers very quickly. There's almost no time delay because he knows there's a competition going on and the information is critical. So sometimes Hossein, and the time difference is different. So I'm sorry if I don't answer quickly because I'm asleep. Okay? So, now, this is a new procedure. In the Judge newsletter, are you reading that? The Judge newsletter for World Archery? That is a key piece of resource that you need to read every time it comes out. Because new procedures are always outlined there. Okay, very important. Now, at the end of the equipment, the top 8 as well will have, you need to have the equipment checked. At the end of qualification, top 8 for all categories. And then after the individual eliminations as well, after the quarterfinals, you need to do another check of the quarterfinalists. And of course, this we already do. It's good when you have the finals in the holding room or the call room. You as the line judge should also be checking. Traditionally, historically, and whatever the time, usually we have equipment inspection when? During official practice. That is regularly in, I'm not talking about the World Cups. The World Cups are a different animal entirely. But for regular tournaments in Asia, in world ranking events, we have the official practice day as also the day for equipment inspection. So there is a new procedure in the World Cups where archers come to be inspected on a volunteering basis. Right now, in every other event, we have a specific time to have equipment inspection, usually official practice day. But in the World Cups, it is not mandatory that the archer would come and have their equipment inspected. But normally they do. There's always a long line because there is always the warning given that judges can come anytime to inspect your equipment. And of course, the archer, he doesn't want to be bothered by an equipment check in the middle of competition. So they come anyway. Okay? Now, in the equipment inspection, normally the chairman of judges will take a look what is the best place where to conduct the equipment inspection. It's normally in a place where there is a big space, especially for para, because archers with wheelchairs are coming in. And it's also safe because you will be checking the peak draw weight for the compound bow. Now, when they come, so check, well, first of all, you need to check their accreditation card if they have it against their list that you will be given, the start list, we call it, provided by the local organizer. So when they come in, they hand you the bow. Okay. Normally the archer will come and, sir, can you pretend to be the judge inspecting the equipment? Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. Okay, so I am the archer and I give this to him. So how do you take? Okay, that is the correct way. At the far end of the riser and the string in his line of vision. Okay, so that he can see what? He can see the window. Check the sight. Well, this is recurve. I'll go into that more. Check the arrow rest, the pressure point. Check if there is a clicker. Okay. And check everything. Okay. So, thank you very much. Good job. Of course, he's also checking the string. There are any kisser, lip mark, you're only allowed one. And for the compound bow, it is a little bit more checking because you also need to check the bow poundage. That it is what? What is the peak weight allowed? 60 pounds. Okay. Now, never hold the bow by the grip. The bow is a very personal piece of equipment, the riser. The archer will feel very uncomfortable if you hold the grip because your hand might be sweaty, might be dirty, I don't know. And they are the ones who hold that bow in competition. And so please do not hold the bow by the grip. Okay? Oh, sorry. So we will go into the recurve bow. So you know this. So you know that in the rule book, for the recurve, what is allowed is written in the rule book. If it is not written in the rule book, then that piece of equipment is not allowed. The compound is the opposite. What is not permitted is in the rule book, and everything else, if it's not in the rule book, is okay. So remember that, because when a piece of equipment comes to you and you have a question, that will help guide you to make a decision. Okay? So it's fair and fairly simple. You can have, like this, the trademark, even up here is allowed. Many years ago, you could not have anything on the face of the limbs and the riser. This is a fairly obedient bow because the trademark is only down here. But nowadays you can see really big ones like this on the limbs, on the face of the limbs. Okay? And any color except for camouflage is okay for the riser. Now, the bowstring can be any color, it can be multicolored, Any number of strands is allowed. It may have a center serving with a knocking point. It can be one knocking point, two knocking points. Could be knock locators, those metal things that you snap on. You can have one or two. The key thing to remember is that the center serving, when at full draw, should not be in the line of vision to help in aiming. Okay? So that is the important thing when you look at the string. If you are in doubt, ask the archer to draw the bow. And make sure when they draw the bow with an arrow or not, they are drawing it in front of a target face or a target buttress. You know, we have this rule that they can only draw the string on the shooting line, right? Well, that's the same concept because we are, number one, looking after safety. Safety always, okay? Now make sure there is nothing that will aid in aiming aside from the bow sight. You know, we also have measurements for the tunnel, and maybe there's an optic fiber as well. Okay, I'll go into that. Now, you're only allowed one, either a nose marker or a lip marker. Only one attachment on the string. You cannot have both for recurve. So these are examples of nose markers and lip markers on the string for a recurve. Now, as you know, a bow sight is permitted, but not more than one such device. And you can't have lenses, magnifying lenses, leveling devices, or prisms, or anything that will magnify the sight to help in aiming. Nothing electric or electronic as well. And I was talking about the sight tunnel. Okay. The sight tunnel, you know, this barrel, the thing around the pin, this should not be more than what? 2 cm. Okay? And then, if they have a fiber optic pin extending in the line of the athlete's sight, not more than 2 cm as well. You don't add those two things up and come up maybe with 4 cm. You measure them separately. The barrel should not be more than 2 cm, and the fiber optic sight in the line of vision of the archer must not be more than 2 cm as well. Okay? Bow sight extension is allowed, this bar here. And they can have a scale or with the markings or numbers to help. So over there, that's fine. But nothing more than that. For stabilizers or the weight system, they call it here, you can have any number of stabilizers on the bow as long as it does not disturb other archers adjacent, left or right, and they are not serving as a danger or obstruction. Okay? And must not touch anything but the bow. It cannot touch the archer as a reference point again. Okay, I don't have a finger tab here, but we have a photo here. So an anchor plate, the one here on top of the forefinger that they put against the jawline, and then a finger separator so that they can avoid pinching the arrow is allowed. A finger strap to attach to your finger is also okay. But make sure that the device incorporated, it doesn't incorporate anything which can assist the athlete to hold or draw and release the string, like for example, release aid in compound. In recurve, that is not allowed. And also make sure that there is no extension. There was a time that I think it was Fivix that came out with a tab that had a metal extension here that you could no longer bend the wrist. That is not allowed. Below the wrist line is okay because that means you can still bend the wrist. But if you have something rigid or hard that makes your hands not move or your wrist not move, that is not allowed. Now, what else can we put on the bow for recurve? So only one draw check indicator is allowed. It can either be audible, like the clicker, or tactile, meaning it will touch some part of your finger or hand, or visual, because there are some hearing impaired archers. To help you understand also equipment, the World Archery website has a link in the extranet for interpretations. Most of the interpretations are for equipment. So read up on that. For the life of the rule, that interpretation takes effect. Okay? Again, no electric or electronic aids are allowed. You can have a pressure button, a plunger, a pressure point, or arrow plate. Now, the important thing here is that you check the distance between the pivot point of the grip and the pressure point, and it should not exceed 4 cm. To make it clear to you, let me show you what is the pivot point. Okay, the pivot point is the deepest part of the grip. So it's this part, and then the pressure point is where the arrow is in contact. Now this has no plunger button, so the arrow will rest on the arrow rest. So this will be, this part is the contact point, and that is, and you measure that, like draw an imaginary line from this point to this point. It should not be further back than 4 cm. This one is forward a bit, so that's fine, no problem. But if it were back here beyond 4 cm, if they move this arrow rest, and then you measured, if it's beyond 4 cm, it's not allowed. Okay? Let's go now to compound. As I mentioned earlier, what normally is not in the rules is allowed. You can allow anything on the compound bow, practically anything, as long as it is not electric or electronic. There's just some few things that are not allowed. So we have here a compound bow. So in the recurve, a shoot through is not allowed. What's a shoot through? This is a shoot through. You put the arrow in the middle. This is not allowed for recurve. A riser like this. But for compound is okay. So that is what a shoot through is. And it's a system of pulleys and cams and strings. It looks more mechanical than a recurve bow. Okay, and then again, when they present this to you, it is like this, the same thing. Of course, my hand should be here at the riser. And what are you looking at? Now, the things that are allowed, can we just put back the slide, please? Thank you. Okay, so for the string, what are you looking for? How many attachments on the string can you have?
One loop.
Yeah, you can have a D loop. This is a D loop. This one. What else? Can you have anything else there? On the string? Peep sight. Yeah. What else? Click. No, not clicker. Kisser. Nose marker. You can practically put anything on the string. It is perfectly okay. As it says there, additional devices are permitted unless they are electric or electronic, or cause a disturbance with other archers around. And as we mentioned, the peak draw weight must not exceed 60 pounds. When you go to check, make sure that your bow scale is calibrated, that it is accurate. In Singapore, just this last Asia Cup, we had the LOC gave us a digital bow scale, and it was brand new, but it was reading higher than normal. And so we made adjustments. Like it was reading 1.3 pounds higher than the actual weight. So we made allowances for that. Okay, we just need to remember plus 1.3 is okay. That means it's 60 pounds. Okay, so make sure the bow scale, you've checked the bow scale and it's properly calibrated. Before we would only use conventional spring scale, but now World Archery Asia, they use digital ones. It's also important that the battery is not run down or old. Make sure the battery is fairly new. So, because sometimes it doesn't read accurately if the battery is already used up a lot. Okay? Or if it's very new and fresh, it also might not be that accurate. So you need to have some batteries and make sure to use it a bit before trying it for checking of bow poundages. Okay? Now, we come to the pivot point, and for compound, 6. All right? It's 6 cm. So the pivot point is where? Again, yes, it's the deepest part of the grip. And can you hand me an arrow? And if we were to put an arrow, for example only, could you hold it horizontally so it... Okay, for example, so this is shoot through, and this point is the contact point. Okay, and obviously this is much less than 6 cm, so it's okay. All right, but if you had something back here, then make sure, and you can check. Okay, again. Try to already now get your measuring tape. What is 6 cm? In your mind's eye, have an idea of what 6 cm is, what 4 cm is, what 2 cm is, so that when you see, you know more or less if it's beyond or it's okay. Again, multiple servings are okay. And you can put anything, practically anything on the string. Now, this is what we were talking about a while ago. Even in compound, the stabilizer must not touch any part of the hand, the wrist, the arm. Okay, some bows, this is a brace. So this part, when it's at full draw, the hand must not consistently touch. Okay? This is also allowed. The brace is also allowed for recurve. And the best way to check that is on the line. As Hossein mentioned, sometimes it's not practical to check at the equipment inspection area. It's better to check when they're shooting on the line. And that is why your chairman would be appointing or assigning judges to check recurve, one set of judges, and then another set to check compound bows, and you have another set walking the line, checking for equipment, for uniform, for high draw, side draw, because the best place most of the time or sometimes is on the shooting line. And this is the funny thing. They will come to the inspection area and everything is good, perfect, everything legal. But when they go to the shooting line, some things change, okay? So you also have to be diligent. You are always observing. You, as Hossein said, you are not on vacation. When you are in a competition, you are a judge. And so your mind and your eyes and every part of your body is a judge and thinking like a judge. And so you are observing moment by moment everything that comes in front of you. You have to be aware. That is one important thing, your awareness. And secondly is your foresight. Because Murphy's Law always is our law. If anything can go wrong, it will. And so you think ahead. What could happen? Because you need to prevent. Prevention is the best solution, not when there is a problem and you need to solve it. Because whatever happened went wrong already, and now you need to solve. That is harder. And the process is tedious because maybe that will go to jury if there is an appeal. That will also go in your report, your assessment, your evaluation as a judge. If you did not do your job properly, then your chairman will report that. And that could be a basis whether you will be appointed or not, and worse, you might even get suspended. There was a time before that judges were a very, very happy family, that we all protected each other, that if someone did something wrong, then it's okay. It's okay. But it's not okay. I like to tell the judges, it's all right to make a mistake. First of all, read the rules. Make sure you don't make a mistake. But if you do make a mistake, it's not the end of your life. Your best teacher are mistakes, because you will never do that mistake again in your judging life. So mistakes are good teachers. But if you do the mistake a second time, then you'd never learned, okay? And Jose knows this. I would tell the mistake, but I would say, use him more. Use him more because he needs more experience to get better. Because maybe that judge has a good attitude, okay? They really want to do the best. But it just happened, there was this mistake. Now, sometimes it's a grave mistake. And unfortunately, even if your chairman would like to protect, then we can't. Because the mistake is very severe. I always tell my commissions, I will protect you to the death, but make sure you do what is right. If you do what is wrong, I cannot protect you. I have to report you, okay? Because it is all about the competition. It is all about putting forward a successful competition, that fairness was played and was delivered by the judges. If that didn't happen, it was the fault of the judge, then we have to own up, okay? We have to own up with our mistake. And that is why It's always good to go prepared. You've read the rules. You ask the question from your chairman. If you're in doubt, you're not sure, I know that you need to make a quick decision, but you have the radio. You have the radio. There are really some times that you have to make a quick decision right there and then. But most often, your chairman will be watching over you, or your deputy, and you can ask the question, or you can delay a bit. Okay? If you know the rules, you know how to delay a bit, so that the correct decision is made, and that will avoid any further problems. Okay? So those are important things. Now we go to bare bow. When you talk about bare bow, that's what it means, bare. Bare means naked, or practically nothing on it. Okay? No sight, no clicker, no stabilizers, no nose or lip marker. So it's very naked, or bare, as they say. No, except for the arrow rest, you can have that. Should have no protrusion, sight marks, blah, blah, blah. And it should go through a 12.2 cm ring. What is the measurement of the 10 ring on the target face?
10 ring.
Yeah. Is it the same? There's your guide. By looking again, you know what's 12.2. It's like the 10 ring. So the 10 ring, that's 12.2. Okay, that's your guide. If you don't have that ring. But it's good if you have that when you're doing a bare bow competition. So hopefully your chairman or you've requested LOC ahead of time that they should have this 12.2 cm ring. Okay? You could have a tolerance of 0.5 mm. When you pass that ring through, the bow should be unbraced, meaning to say the string is not taut, but unbraced. Okay? Do you understand unbraced?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure because of the English. Okay? And you can wiggle it a bit so that it passes through. It doesn't have to be like this, and it's okay. You can wiggle it a bit as long as it passes through. By manipulating it, then that's fine. And they can be multicolored, the bowstring. They can have 1 or 2 knocking points as well. And since face walking or string walking is allowed, again, check the center serving. If it's not in the line of vision of the archer, what is face walking and string walking? Do you know? This is face walking. The anchor point against the face can change. Okay? This is string walking. The arrow position can change on the string. So, if you look at this, you see against the eye, the end of the serving is up there. And that's okay, it's not in the line of vision. But here is almost in the line of vision. Okay, this is a longer distance. He's aiming at a longer distance. So you have to be careful. Again, if in doubt, check and have them draw the bow. Okay? Again, it's just reiterating this slide. What are things that are not allowed? And the pressure point now, the pivot point and the pressure point should be not more than 2 cm. So I think by now you know the concept. Okay, so it's easy to understand, 2, 4, 6. From simple to medium to complicated for the compound, 2, 4, 6. Okay? Oh, sorry, the long spelling. There should be an E. Dampeners. and weights. They can have additional, but it must be like factory installed. There should be nothing in between, maybe an extender or I can see Neil running, an extender or a cushion or anything like that. It can be above or below the grip, the riser's grip. And again, it has to pass through the 12.2 cm ring, okay? So as mentioned, manufacturer provided angular stabilizer is allowed, but separate angular brackets or connectors for mounting weights are not permitted.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And they should not be used for aiming, for aiding aiming in any way.
So the angular brackets that Karla was mentioning about, the whole reason to highlight it is, if you look in the rule book, and this is a new thing, I mean, we're just answering some questions related to this right now. If you look at the rule book, the previous version of the rule book actually had a line which said this exact statement. The new version of the rule book, which has just come in somewhere in 2025 March or May, if you look at it, you will see that specific line has been taken out. That does not change anything. It still allows any manufacturer weight which is added, be it angular. The whole intent is, even if it is angular, it has to pass through the 12.2 centimeter ring, and it cannot freely move when you are shooting the bow. It cannot be what should I say, a flexible rotating thing, like when I shoot and the bow falls, it moves in a free swiveling direction. The reason I'm highlighting this is because we are getting some questions from our judges all across saying this line has been removed, so does that mean this thing has changed? This has not changed. This still stays. The wordings in the rule book, that has only changed. Just wanted to highlight that.
We go to the arrows. So everybody knows what an arrow looks like. So you have the shaft, you have the arrow point here at the end, you have the nock, you can have fletch or vanes, cresting. This one has the arrow wrap, okay? And we have a rule for the arrow wrap that it should be from the base of the nock up to 22 cm down the shaft, no longer than that, okay? What is the allowed diameter? The big 9.3 millimeters. And so, I don't know if you have this device. Who gave this to you? Long time ago. Yeah, David Catalan. He likes to give this away to his fellow judges when there is a competition. And I think I've gotten 3 like this already from him. He's the guy with the giant-sized caliper. Have you seen that photo? Yeah. Okay. So, again, what is 9.3 mm? When you look at this, you can see, more or less. And if it looks to you like it's over that, then you can use this as a check. Many judges, when the archer comes for inspection and the arrows are all in the quiver, and then they just go. I always say, have them bring out the arrow from the quiver and show them to you. Many judges are okay, they'll just look here and then they're done without looking at the point. Because what is allowable? 9.4. You can't have anything bigger than 9.4. Sometimes this contraption here, well, of course this is okay, but sometimes they also have a 9.4 for the point, to measure the point. And the arrow must have what? the name or initials on the shaft, not the veins. Okay? Yeah, this one has none because this did not go through inspection yet. Okay, now, more or less, slide back please.
Not electrical or electronic.
Again, you can't have tracer knocks that light up because that is electric or electronic, and that is not allowed. Now, you have this thing that all the arrows must be identical. They should have the same color knock, the same combination of colors for the veins, the same kind of cresting. And why is that? To identify, make sure that that archer, those are the arrows of the archer. Because when you are on the field and maybe an arrow has missed the target and the archer claims, no, I didn't miss the target, but the judge finds an arrow on the ground, and so you, because that's evidence, and you can attribute that arrow with the owner, because you can see all his other arrows with identical markings. Okay, that is why. That is the intent, or that is the reason for the rule. Now, there are case studies. For example, that the archer, in his quiver, he has his practice arrows, and then he has his tournament arrows. But unfortunately, when he got his arrow, he got a practice arrow. And that one was different from his tournament arrows. And there was a question. The other archer now protested, or this archer did not use the same arrows. Should we take out the value? Okay, I like this group. You are thinking, okay, and you are not policemen. So in those cases, there is no advantage. So you don't need to take away an arrow. You can tell the archer, or better, tell the coach or team manager that they must use identical arrows. That is why we also have equipment inspection, to make sure that that happens. If you find in the inspection arrows are different, then have the archer fix that, have the coach fix it so that they're all identical, and then come back and have their arrows checked. Okay, and then that is when the judge will pass the archer's equipment as okay, right? So this is just an example again of this device with the hole. You can see that this is bigger than 9.4, the point, okay? Now, this is a good slide to take a photo of because it involves a procedure to follow. When there is a new or strange equipment that you've never seen before, so again, we said, ask the archer, what is it for? If you're not sure if the equipment is okay, then ask your fellow judges with you in that equipment inspection area. If you don't all agree, then call your chairman or the deputy, because maybe sometimes the chairman is busy with LOC or something else. And then this is very important because your chairman will ask you, what archer presented this equipment? So you need to get the athlete's number. If you have the name, write it down as well. Take a photo of the equipment. And you can meet about this in the judge commission, And your chairman can report this as well. They will make a decision whether this is allowed or not during that competition. And if you're not very sure, you're the chairman, then in the report, you can put that. And you can ask for an interpretation or an opinion if that equipment, that piece of equipment is legal or not. Okay? If any such equipment is disallowed, make sure you check the following competition days with that archer if he or she is using that piece of equipment. Because if you have disallowed it, then they have contravened the rules. And again, it depends. When you discover that, whether to take away points or to disqualify, it depends, okay? But the important thing is you keep checking every day. Remember, our duty is to make sure that all athletes are competing equally, that none are having an advantage in terms of equipment. Okay? Now, this is a compound archer. This was in Singapore. And one of the judges saw this lady with this kind of shooting spectacle. It was very unusual. She had something in the middle that could, but remember, this is a compound archer, okay? And so the judge asked, what is this for? What is this thing in the middle for? And so when he asked the archer explained that she had severe nearsightedness and astigmatism. And this is another lens in the middle, so that when she looked at the target, her right eye could aim. Without that, she could not see anything. She could not see the target in front of her. Okay? Oh, sorry, this is another one. So, is this okay or not?
Yes. It's okay, but it need to cover the
No, this is not a para archer. This is a regular able-bodied competition. It was the Singapore Asia Cup.
Maybe because of her situation, it should be allowed, because it's a medical situation, I think.
Okay. Anybody else have an opinion?
I cover the eye.
It is not focusing at determined aiming point, that is allowed.
Again, please.
It is not focusing on determined aiming point, that is allowed.
So you are saying this is okay.
If it is not aiming determined specific aiming point, any kind.
If it is not an aiming aid, you mean?
In that piece.
Aiming
Not an aid in aiming.
point.
Okay, anybody else? I think this lady has an opinion.
I state that cover the another eye.
It should cover another eye that's not aiming with that.
You mean cover the left eye?
Yeah.
Yes. No advantage.
Archers. So for me it's allowed because no advantage.
Okay? So that's why it's important that you ask what this is for. Ask the archer. Without that piece of that lens, she cannot aim at all. She will not be able to see the goal at the target. And also, this is a compound archer. The judge checked, even then, the judge checked if there's a micro hole in the lens. So there is no micro hole. There is no marking on the lens. Okay? So we allowed it. So Neil, you have an opinion?
So, I mean, like Karla said, like, what's the use of it? And for can you go to the slide?
Yeah, can you just stay on the slide, please?
Yes, thank you. So, what's the purpose? Why were we using it? And in this case, like she said, it's compound, right? So there is no advantage that you are getting from using this. The problem that might happen with this kind of a thing is if you start getting your vision blocked, so using some kind of device on top of it which is blocking the left side of the eye, which is not allowing you to see the whole range, and something that can violate safety becomes dangerous. In that case, we might say, yes, this is not allowed, or you have to remove the shade or side liner, whatever you have. But in this case, is it something, knowing for compound everything is allowed, posing some risk to safety, or other things? Alignment, aiming points, all those things are allowed in compound. There's no limitation or restriction, right? So, yeah, just remember, like Karla said again, why it's being used, why they need it, and then try to evaluate from the perspective, are there additional points, like I highlighted, safety is an additional point. Those kind of things that can get affected by use of these kind of devices.
Thank you, Neil. So this is another thing that we found during the equipment inspection. You see those yellow bands around the sight extension. So a judge notices this and asks me, is this okay? And so, what do you think?
No, I think
You think no. Why?
because it can help to aim.
It can help to aim, you think? Okay, anybody else? Yes, ma'am?
I think it will be added as accessories and no benefits for it, so it will be allowed.
It is allowed. Okay, so to take out any doubt, I asked the archer to go on the shooting line and draw the bow to check if it was helping her aim. And when she aimed, I have another photo of this, I didn't put it here, but from her perspective, she could not see those bands at all. I don't know what they were there for, maybe it's a decoration for her, but it had no aiming purpose or aid in aiming because she could not see it at all, at full draw. And so we allowed it. Okay? Now we come to uniforms because that's part of equipment. And as a team, everyone in that same category must have the same uniform, including the team officials and the coach, especially the coach or whoever is standing there as the coach. So they can be easily identified as part of that team. Male and female uniforms can be different because, as I said, for every category, one team for every category should be the same. But for mixed team, man and woman, they must have the same style, same color. And the uniform must contain the IOC country code, the 3 letters for a country, or the complete name of the country, like this, Mexico. And they must have the athlete's name at the back. So this one you can't see so much because it's in black, but the name of the archer is under the name of the country. Now this is not mandatory, the name is not mandatory for team officials. They can just have maybe coach, the name of the country, coach, or not even anything is okay. Now, I get this question all the time, especially from judges. Is it okay if one is wearing pants, one is wearing shorts? Is it okay if one is short sleeves and the other is long sleeves? Long sleeves? Yes, it's okay. All right, as long as the color is the same and the style is the same. Okay, they don't have to all come in pants. They don't have to all come in shorts. They don't have to all come in skirts. Take note, even men can wear skirts now. Because we are there's gender equity and inclusivity. Okay? Now, denims or jeans are not allowed. Baggy pants are not allowed, even for the field crew. Anybody in the field of play. Okay? Now, camouflage. Camouflage is a very big question. Because there are things that look like camouflage, but they're not camouflage. They could simply be designs or patterns. Like splash patterns are sometimes mistaken as camouflage. It also doesn't matter what color the camouflage is. It could be hot pink, but if the pattern is camouflage, it's camouflage. Okay? So this is the same thing. When you're not sure, then ask your fellow judge, or ask your chairman, or ask Indranil. Then moving on, in the finals, if compression shirts or sleeves, the undersleeves, I have a lady from Malaysia who was wearing an undersleeve yesterday. I don't know if she's wearing it because she's wearing a jacket now. But it must be white or the predominant color of the shirt, not the pants, but the shirt. In Singapore, but this was Indonesia, for example. It was a mixed team, and they both came in black undersleeves. The dominant color of the shirt was red, but the pattern had black. And they were telling me, but this black is okay. And I said, yeah, it looks very nice, but the rule says predominant color, red or white. And so they changed. This was to the finals. These two already passed the practice area inspection. So they were in the holding area, and the marshal judge told me, oh, this pointed it out, and so I asked them. And so they changed. The coach, by the way, was in a correct undersleeve of white. But he was the one defending them, that this is okay, because, by the way, he was a Korean coach. Of course, they like to push. So, no problem. So, just remember that, the predominant color or white. Yes, Neil?
Yeah, so this is quite interesting. I mean, while we are talking about predominant color or white, one of the things that comes up seldom is, let's say Mexico, or let's say Colombia. Look at the uniform and tell me if there is one predominant color. It will be green or red, or for Colombia, they will have black, yellow, and some other colors as well. When you have uniforms like that, the question is there one predominant color? No. So you can have situations where one person is wearing a white undershirt, the other person is wearing a yellow or a black, and that's where general rule prevails, common sense prevails. The reason I'm saying this is we have had situations where judges have gone and said, like, you have to have the same, you have to have the white.
No.
It's what our common sense says. It matches. It does not look odd on TV. It does not look you're standing out. It's sober to the eyes, if I say it that way. It's absolutely good to go.
Yeah.
So the guidance of predominant color or white was coming from the point, like from TV, from visual aspects. that's why we ended up with that definition. It's not something which needs too much of a brainstorming with your chair and 10 different judges who this color matches or not. You see it, it's fine, it's good to go on TV, go ahead.
Yep.
Don't hold up.
Yep. That's true. The Korean coach was saying, but it's not uniform because now they're all different. One had no undersleeve, one had white, and one had red. I said, that's fine, that's the rule. Okay, and take note, this is for the finals with TV most of the time because that is the idea. That is what looks good on TV. Okay? Now, as I said, World Cups are a totally different animal. And in World Cups, during televised individual finals, the athletes and the coaches must wear uniform t-shirts with differing predominant colors. What does that mean? That means in the finals, let's say it's Korea. And Korea, normally it's white. What this is saying is, one should have their primary color and one should have a secondary color. They can't have both the same when they come on the finals platform. Okay? Because it doesn't look good on TV. Now this is primarily for World Cups. Because I have had this question, like in Singapore. LOC comes to me, but they're both the same. I said, yeah, and that is because that rule is for World Cups. Maybe in the future they will make it standard for whatever competition, but right now it is for World Cups. Okay? You might be assigned there because we are taking continental judges. Like for example in Shanghai, we had some continental judges appointed there. So it's good that you know this. Now the higher seeded athlete can choose what color. And the other one will take the other color. Okay? So when you do this, it's always good. Maybe it's too early to have it checked during the equipment inspection because that means inspecting another piece of equipment that maybe they will not be in the finals. But this is good to start checking at the warm-up practice field. Okay? Appoint your marshal there or judge there to check. And then the second point of check is the call room. And there is a third point of check, the chairman. And sometimes it gets to the chairman. But you need to have eagle eyes. As I said, your eyes are always checking, you're always observing. Don't let it reach the chairman. That means you didn't do your job. Okay? Like in Singapore, I had an agent who came with black shorts, but their pants were green. Well, sometimes it's hard because the agent already runs before he comes to the call room. Okay, so I saw the agent and she was already there and I had to ask the coach here to send over green trousers that would fit her. Fortunately, it got to her. Okay. Now, these accessories are also permitted. That's all in the rule book. Okay? And you know the tripod and scope? They are allowed to have it there as long as it doesn't bother the other archers. And if they choose to share a scope, make sure that the shorter one, that's the height that you follow. Okay? You know that it should be armpit level at full draw. So if two of them are using it, then the one with the shorter height, that is the armpit level that you follow. Okay? Now, branding on an archer. Athletes may wear advertising, that's normal. Sometimes there's a Nike or Adidas brand on the shirt. that's fine. But trademarks must not exceed 30 square centimeters, except for trademarks, because the trademarks are really big on the limbs. Okay? And the athlete's registration number or his athlete number is not included because that may be sponsorship. That's fine. And all advertising on personal and technical equipment, this is advertising. You have a different measurement for trademark. Okay? For advertising, it should be no more than 400 square centimeters on each piece of item. That's kind of hard. So what is 400 cm? When you measure, it's square. So that's everything. Okay? And as we mentioned, it's always, you know the rules, but also look up the interpretations because they make the rules clearer. And World Archery always publishes new bylaws and new interpretations in the extra net.